have a problem. Welcome. I have many problems, but this particular problem has been annoying me, and I thought, you're the only one who can solve it. I'll show you a picture here, somewhere. I have a bunch of the scrapers, putty knives, and they're all, except this is the cleanest one, and the sticker's never even been taken off. I don't know if I did that, to be honest. I have the paint roller special. This one's probably cheap, but I really like it. It's got a nice pretty handle. I have an old one with a metal handle. Anyway, and another wooden one. I thought to explore these a little more, I would just take my scraper, see if we can get some of the big chunks of paint and whatnot out of them. These may not seem exciting to you, and they're not, but I feel often that I get into projects and I neglect the tools that are helping me do the projects, and I don't like that. I've gotten better with age about cleaning them up as I go when I do projects now. That wasn't always the case. This, since it's all metal, that's going to go right on the wire wheel, and we'll just see what it does to it. I have no idea. And this guy, let me get some picks. I'm going to try and pick this stuff out. I don't want to rush too much and make it worse. So, because this is a nice handle, and I can, it looks like it, so the name looks like it's painted on, so I don't think that'll get saved, but we'll try. All right, this is not the original screw, because this is all brass and pretty. I think whatever was holding the front, and it went all the way through at one time, came out, and so the feller grabbed himself a screw, put it in, and kept on working. And we could do that, but I don't want to. I have these. I don't know if you've seen them. They're like me, they're little dumbbells. But you put them through like a knife handle, and then you just grind the end off, or sand the ends off to match the thickness of your piece. And it's a good way, it's a way to pin them back. Although, I don't know if this is the best application for them, but I think it'll work. No, that would make it pretty thin scales, wouldn't it? How far can I? Yeah. So that's not even gonna work. I'd need bigger ones. I don't think I have any of the bigger ones. Okay, so the metal one, I went ahead and just hit it with the wire wheel, and I'm gonna get back on it in some of these corners and in the hole. But that metal just screams for painted. It's pitted really quite a bit, and a coat of paint I think would do it justice. The blade, I just hit it real quick on the wire wheel and on the fiber wheel, and I think I'm gonna maybe hit a little more on the fiber wheel, but then I'll call it good. You know. And then we have the other one. Yep, took the handle off. So I'm gonna do the same with this thing, and then we'll make up a new handle. Here's where we're at. These things, again, yeah, they're pitted and old. I'm gonna Dremel the corners. This one really shined up nice. I am going to use a piece of that free wood that I use for my knife blades. I still have extra. I'm going to make the handle out of that. It's plenty thick enough. Here's the problem. My bandsaw, even if it was working, couldn't cut through this resawing. So I can run it through the table saw and lose the kerf of the blade thickness, and I think it'll still be thick enough to be a good size handle. And the handle that came off, I don't know what kind of wood it was, but it was similar to a mahogany, so I think we'll be okay. And then I think all the holes are different sizes on this, and I do want it to hang. So I think I'm going to use 2 of these holes and come up from the back and screw into the top one, so you won't see the screws except from underneath. I think that's what I'm going to do. Let's get set up for that fun resaw cut. Hacksaw. Thin kerf, mostly straight. At the very end, I ran out of room. I just kind of whacked a chisel down it to do the final parting. So now I'll sandwich it on the good side. When I do, I'll go like that. So, but for now, man, sure wish I had a bandsaw right now. So my resawing ideas aren't working out. So I switched gears to get this one painted before it has a chance to get rusty again. I think it'll do it justice. Once it's coated one more time, I'll take it outside and get it in some sun. I want it to cure on there. So we'll be back for that. And in the meantime, I'm gonna go do other things. Okay, I put the blade on there and pokey thinged my spot. I'm gonna drill through it, then come back from the other end and countersink and do the countersinking. Wait, can you see that? Yeah, you can. Okay, now we'll come in through this side. It's a little big for the countersink, but that's okay. I want it that way to get these heads down below. Let me just check real quick. Yeah, that'll work. Theoretically. And that I'm going to sand off, so we are going like that. Okay, as you can see, I lied. I went at it with the handsaw, and then a little bit of rasp work. Okay, a lot of rasp work. Got it to way closer to where I want it to be. All right, I like that. I'm not going to epoxy it. I like the fact that I can change the handles when I get tired of them or they get worn out. So I'm going to hit it with the hand sanding a little bit, and we'll get this thing almost wrapped up. Okay, let's talk. Get up here. Sorry, I cut my hair this morning and it's not happy yet. Right before I started to hand sand it, I said, let me snug that up one little turn. Literally almost no pressure. So I can scrap this side and start fresh. But I thought, you know, it was a good learning experience. So I'm going to glue and clamp it and let it sit for the night, especially because it was kind of disheartening, let's be honest. And we'll come back to it tomorrow and see if that worked. All right, can't rush it, just gotta wait. Real quick, I cleaned up my board here. I was wondering, what should I put here? I have everything I need at a grab here. So I want to put something here. Maybe even here. What do you think? What could I put there? Okay, so after my tragedy of splitting it, but I still want to save the piece, I'm going to go ahead and give in, and I'm going to add a little epoxy. That way not all the stress of the putty knife is on those two screws. I think that's probably a smarter way to go. So I'm going to go ahead and mix up some epoxy and get this screwed together. Then we'll go back into a waiting game again. I went ahead and last night drilled a hole in it so I can hang it back up when I'm done. Something I had forgotten to do. And then I went over to an empty house that has this huge overgrown laurel growing in the back, in the alley, and I chopped off a chunk that was protruding out, and it was nice and clear and beautiful, and I used it for an online thing I'm doing, a course in wood carving, and I carved a butter knife out of it. It's kind of one of the first assignments, and I got it all down to, you know, to the finished level. Well, I'm making a mess of this, and I came upstairs and I went back out and took a picture of the laurel bush. I wanted to kind of learn more about it, and it turned out that the laurel bush that's growing behind my house is called Portuguese laurel, and when you cut into it or grind it up, it releases cyanide gas. It's considered a toxic species for dogs and for people. I guess animals in general, I would imagine. So my butter knife hit a dead end. I needed a piece of green wood. So I have a neighbor with an apple tree. I'm going to see if I can get a branch from him. I have a neighbor with a cherry tree. I'm going to see if I can get a branch from her. And I have a maple tree that has a couple of branches that need pruning here shortly. So we'll try again. And that was a filler story, so you wouldn't be paying too close attention to my horrible epoxy skills. I'm just a messy Marvin. I'm like the one Peanuts character. Always, you know, had the dust cloud. Pigpen, that's me. Okay, I'm gonna go over that with a little scraping, get some of that off. Not bad. And let it dry, and then back to sanding. Back to where we were 2 days ago, I think. And I always mix up too much epoxy. There should be a thing you can do with that. What would you do with it? Throw it away? Because that's what I'm gonna do with it. All right, we'll be back. So, obviously, one of these went really smooth. And one of them was a pain in the butt. All because I didn't want to waste another piece. When the mahogany cracked, I was like, I'm not going to get another one. I'm going to use it. So I did fix it. You can see the line. We'll see how it looks after I put a finish on it. But it just turned into it was going to be one of those easy, quick, light to watch videos, and anyway, it's done. I'm gonna put some linseed oil on it because that's what I want. I go back and forth between that and shellac as my two favorite. When I was young and I used to make small furniture pieces in my 20s, I would do pure tongue oil, hand rubbed, and it has a cure time. Sometimes it would take longer to finish the piece than to make the piece. And there she is. Because of the cure time. And you could take a piece of pine, and with enough pure tongue oil on it, it would be rock hard. The very first thing I made was an end table for my mom that had a magazine holder. She was living with us. And so she could read her magazines before bed. And the dog chewed it up about a month after I finished it. And that one took like 2 months or more to put the finish on. So anyway, I don't use that anymore, but this is perfect. I wanted something I could hang up, not be embarrassed to look at, and use it. And that's where it's going. Let me show you one more time. There they are. Trusty metal, nice and flexible, good and firm with that little angle, great for all the things you need. And now that I cleaned them up, and I'm going to clean the other ones up that are in the drawer on my time. Now that I've done that, probably never use one again. Wish that were true. No. Anyway, thanks for being here every week. Next week will be right around the 1 year mark to when I walked out here after a long vacation and said, I'm going to clean up the garage and I'm going to YouTube video it to make myself accountable. So that means it was December 13th. So yeah, hopefully you're there for that one. I'm going to kind of do a walkthrough of where we are now. All right, thanks again. Bye.